Welcome to the Strange and Weird Experiences channel. It is Monday, January 8th, 2024. I hope everybody had a good New Year's. This channel is dedicated to things that are strange and weird. Have you seen something you can't explain? Things such as an extraterrestrial like aliens or UFOs. Maybe something paranormal like ghosts, spirits, or something demonic. Maybe something like a cryptid. I know most people are familiar with the terms extraterrestrial and paranormal. The term cryptid might be a term you haven't heard before. The definition of a cryptid is something that has not been proven in zoology. Now that means there can be people that have seen with their own two eyes or taken a photograph or video, but they have not been scientifically proven, so it's hearsay. Every episode on this channel, I put in a lot of time and resources and look at these cases. I analyze each case. Now that you know what the channel is about, let's get into the next episode. But first, I'd like to apologize for my absence. Life has been pretty crazy for me the last year or so. A lot of changes have gone on, and I'm transitioning and adjusting. I was down for quite a bit, dealing with some personal issues, but I'm doing better. Times have been tough, but I'm keeping my head above water and not giving up. Alright, let's get into today's episode. This episode is episode 9, Mysterious Toddler Death. This, unfortunately, involves a 3-year-old toddler from Colorado. Jared Adadero was born in Colorado to Alan and Stacy Adadero on January 2nd, 1996. I've been working on and off with this episode for a little more than a year, and it's finally complete. Alan and his two children, Jared and his sister, Jocelyn, were at the Padre River Resort, in which Alan and his brother owned at the time. There was a Christian group called the Christian Singles Network Group, which was there and in which Alan was a part of. The group had planned to go to the hatchery, but later on that wasn't the case, happened to not be the case. They actually decided to go to the Big South Trail, which was about 15 minutes away from the resort Alan and his brother had owned. The Big South Trail is located in the Roosevelt National Forest in Colorado. It is believed to be the case, but not positive for sure. But the groups got split into two different groups. One group being of faster hikers and the other group being of slower hikers. About a mile and a half up the 11-mile trail that starts at the Comanche Peak Wilderness in the Rocky Mountain Park, Jared sped ahead. It is unclear if he ventured ahead in between the two groups or front of the leading group. But Jared ended up walking up to two fishermen and briefly talked to them, and then continued up the trail across the sign that reads Camp 2, which is the second of 16 in total campsites. The two fishermen are believed to be the last people who saw Jared alive. He was not seen alive ever again. According to several members of the 11 people in the Christian Singles Network group, as well as Jared's sister Jocelyn, had heard a scream too. When Jocelyn's dad, Alan, had asked Jocelyn at a later date what kind of scream it was, whether it was the sounds of somebody getting attacked or somebody playing with somebody, she responded with, "It sounded like a playful scream, like somebody was going up to him and playing tag." An hour or so goes by of searching and nothing comes up. 2 of the 11 members decided to go to the hotel and tell Alan what was going on. After telling Alan what had happened, he jumped into his vehicle and headed to the trailhead. He arrived and started up the trail. Alan realized that he wouldn't be able to search for his son by himself, so he went back down the trailhead, where he told his resort manager to contact the sheriff's office, in which he had already done. A deputy and search and rescue team arrived to help, though, with the search as well as more later on. Bill Nelson, who was in charge at the time of the search for Jared, Mr. Nelson had said that he absolutely had done this hundreds of times, and they find the person. It might take a few hours to find the child crying or hiding someplace nearby, but we would be done before midnight. Bill ended up falling asleep just before midnight and told his staff to wake him up when they found the boy. The next morning comes around and Bill wakes up very concerned as there was no leads. That Sunday morning, a helicopter flew over Jocelyn and her father, Alan. Having thought the helicopter was there to help find Jared, but the helicopter was headed to a base to fuel up. Having fueled up and headed back, the chopper had a problem because of the mountain conditions, which didn't help with the added weight from the fuel, and it ended up stalling out and crashing on the Big South Trail. Fortunately, all 4 occupants survived the crash. On the third day, river bends and steep hills were searched along with dive teams looking into pools of water, but nothing. A plane also helped with the search. Things got really tense between Alan and family with searchers as their opinions of what happened to Jared differed. The family and Alan were certain the little boy was abducted, but searchers thought that was a slim chance of that happening. As per usual with missing cases, people included are looked at who are close to the victim. They're often questioned. The Christian Singles Network group, the 2 fishermen, and of course Alan and family were questioned. But after all the questioning with different parties, no red flags were found. The reason why some searchers and Larimer County Sheriff Department at the time, Justin Smith, thought abduction wasn't the case because there was no way somebody could have abducted little Jared without being seen. The only easy way out of there was back down the trail, down to the bottom trailhead. In the beginning of the search for the toddler, one of the searchers ended up hiking to where snow started on the trail, but nothing was found, not even tracks of any kind. The only ways other than going back down the trail until the bottom, which was the easiest to get down to the trailhead, was 2 sides of the canyon which were narrow. Either side of there involved a 1,000 or 2,000 foot climb at a 45-degree slope with thick debris covering it. That narrows things down onto what actually happened to Jared. A mountain lion was looking to be likely the culprit. There were prints of a mountain lion along the trail, but nothing showed that there was an attack. In the early 90s, a young man was killed in Idaho Springs and was killed by a mountain lion. A young man was killed in Idaho Springs by a mountain lion. Idaho Springs is a little less than 3 hours away from the Roosevelt National Forest. In 97, a year after Jared went missing, a young child was killed by a mountain lion in the Rocky Mountain area. So there was no doubt that a mountain lion could easily take a toddler away. So after a week, the sheriff's office called off the search. Others, though, continued to search for the little boy, but nothing came up until years later. Then on June 4th, 2003, 2 hikers, Gary Watts and Rob Osborne, found what was left of Tadero's clothing. The 2 hiking partners from Fort Collins were hiking off the trail from the Big South Trail. The Big South Trail. The 2 friends were 500 feet up a vertical bank that had debris when they came across a white Tarzan shoe. Then found the other Tarzan shoe along with a brown fleece jacket and blue sweatpants that were turned inside out. They both had thought that the mountain lion had killed Jared. Gary Watts and Rob Osborne took photos of the findings and used a bag that was inside out to gather the jacket and a shoe. The next morning, they stopped by the sheriff's office to drop the items off. Another day goes by and searchers go out, and about an hour later found the site near campsite 2. The remaining clothes were scattered in a 20-foot radius. The items found were gone over, and they found the jacket had puncture marks in it. The sweatpants were tattered, and the shoes had minimal wear from the weather. 11 days after the search began for the items, searchers found a skull and a tooth molar. As the searchers were walking, looking around, one warned another searcher there was a skull under the shrub that the fellow searcher was about to step on. Alan, of course, joined in the search for his little boy. When the searchers found the skull and notified the others, Alan, Jared's dad, asked if he could hold his son's skull. DNA tests determined that it was an 86% chance it was Jared's. A decade later, as DNA testing had advanced, they tested the DNA again, and this time it came back 100% that in fact it was little Jared's DNA. Alan's response to the confirmation was that of, once you hear that, all hope of him being alive or somewhere else goes right out with that. Larimer County Search and Rescue reported saying the initial searchers never made it up to the 9,120 foot elevation where Jared's skull and molar were found. When the Colorado Bureau of Investigations examined the blood and the hair that was found on the clothing, but it didn't reveal what killed the little boy. Every year on Jared's birthday, Alan, Deborah, and other family members celebrate with cake and by singing Happy Birthday. Alright, so that's a lot to take in. First off, very sad what happened to the little boy and his family. I personally, I couldn't even begin to imagine the devastation of losing a child, as I have a young daughter. Second, I'm not going to point any fingers, but people need to be responsible when caring for a 3-year-old, especially when out hiking and or out in the woods. I personally wouldn't let when she was 3 years old, or someone else's child, run off on their own in the woods hiking. Hell, she's 8 now, and I wouldn't even let her take off so far up ahead of me in the woods. I, myself, am not worried when I'm hiking or walking in the woods alone because I'm a big dude, being 6'5", 300 plus pounds, and I'm pretty sure I can handle a black bear, wolf, or mountain lion, if I wasn't taken by surprise, that is. But, when my daughter's with me, I'm more cautious, I'm more alert. Whether I'm by myself or with others, I'm always listening, feeling out the atmosphere, and I'm vigilant of my surroundings. Most people, when they go walking or hiking, they got their head down. They're looking ahead. They're not looking to their left, right, behind them periodically. They're not looking up in trees. You need to be vigilant of your surroundings always. You never know. Better to be safe than sorry. For added protection, I always, when I personally go in the woods, I always have protection on me. It's better to have it and not need it than need it and not have it. One of them deals. So it could have been a mountain lion, but it also could have been a lot of other things. The area, the surface of the air, the elevation is ideal for a mountain lion, but one thing I can't comprehend is why, when the blood and hair got examined on Jared's clothing, did nothing come up for a match? That's a big red flag to me. Mountain lion, coyote, black bear, they know what the DNA is, what it looks like, what it pertains to. It would have matched up, but this DNA did not match up. Could this attack and murder of a sweet little boy be the work of a wild cat or something else? Could this be the work of a cryptid? I think it was a cryptid. I went back and forth. Originally I thought it was a cryptid, and then I explored the case some more, did some more research and whatnot, and I'm like, oh shit, it's a mountain lion. I'm pretty familiar with mountain lions and a lot of animals that are in the woods. And it just, I don't know, they can climb, they can go up high elevations, different slopes and whatnot. But it's just, I don't know, it doesn't seem like the evidence of a mountain lion. I don't know. I think it was a cryptid. I don't think it was a Bigfoot, as they're intimidating, and from what the sister and other people said, that they heard him scream, and that the daughter of Alan and Jared's sister said it was, like a playful scream. It wasn't, like a scared or frightened scream, like he was playing tag or something. You know what I mean? So it very well could have been a mountain lion. It's kitty. Kids like kitties. Or it could have been a wolf, dog man. Hey doggy doggy puppy. You know what I mean? You don't know. I think it was a dog man. There's a high probability it also could have been a mountain lion. But again, the DNA, it's not matching up. Whatever ended up killing that little boy, it sucks, man. Poor little boy, he's freaking 3 years old, dude. Sad. Father lost his son, sister lost her brother. Comes down to being people being irresponsible and just thinking the woods and hiking trails are safe. No. You're going in an animal's living room. Like, this is their territory. Like, you need to be respectful, stay together, be safe. But shit happens because of irresponsibility and stupidity, and unfortunately, innocent people are hurt and killed. So whenever you're out in the woods or hiking, walking, what have you, be vigilant. Don't look down. Don't look just straight ahead. Look left, right, up, behind you periodically. Look in trees. Have your head on a swivel. You hear something, look around, stop. Be vigilant. Recommend bringing protection. Freaking a knife. Like me, I got a 45. And I got a big Bowie knife. So I'm as big as I am, I can hold my own. But yeah, just bring protection, bear spray, those loud freaking horns. Trying to think. I don't know, a knife. But yeah. So yeah, that's it. Thank you for listening. And sorry it took so long to put out a new freaking episode. Life's been freaking nuts. But thank you for listening to Strange and Weird Experiences. I appreciate each and every one of you. Alright, until next time. Thanks.